Brexit no deal is dead, has May tied UK to the EU forever? Brexit shambles explained. Theresa May began the day staring down the barrel of a humiliating Brexit defeat, with the Commons set to vote on a raft of exit bill amendments put forward by the House of Lords. To add to Mrs May's headache was the shock resignation of her Justice Minister Dr Phillip Lee, who said he could not carry on in his role given the government's wish to limit Parliament's role. But following last-minute talks with rebel ringleader Dominic Grieve, Mrs May this afternoon avoided defeat on a number of key amendments, including one which would have delivered the Commons a meaningful vote on the final Brexit deal. Mrs May avoided a rebellion today, but experts believe she has also sacrificed a hard Brexit due to concessions granted to rebel MPs, strengthening the EU's hand ahead of the next round of Brexit talks. To get the vote through, the Prime Minister agreed to certain concessions, a motion, which could be amended and will be put before MPs, in the event of a no deal in November. But if the Commons refuse to agree with the divorce deal, Mrs May will be forced back to the EU negotiating table. Asked what concessions he had been given by the PM, Mr Grieve said, "The Prime Minister agreed that the amendments we had tabled, and the issue that we had raised about Parliament's role in the event of no deal, was an important one, and undertook to work with us to put together amendments to present in the Lords which would address those concerns." The former Attorney General said he expected two parts of his amendment to be taken on by the government, stating, "The two parts provide the mechanism by which Parliament has to be consulted in the event of no deal and the government come forward with a motion explaining what it will do. And that in the event of a deal being rejected, the same thing will happen." Mrs May's concession to Parliament means that lawmakers now have more power if she fails to secure a Brexit deal, which may lead to a softer approach to Britain's divorce. Although, as things stand, they will not be able to send the government back into negotiations if they reject an agreement with the EU. The BBC's Laura Quensberg tweeted, "Government wins. Getting there wasn't pretty, and the government has arguably given away some of the incentive for the EU to do a decent deal in October." The Telegraph's Brexit correspondent James Rothwell also said he believed Mrs May had created a situation where no deal is to all extents and purposes dead and where leverage against the EU is virtually non-existent. The BBC's parliamentary correspondent Mark Darcy also said the reprieve means rebels, while backing down today, know they have the power to pressure Mrs May into a softer Brexit, and today's actions could remove any incentive for the EU to give the UK a good deal as negotiators realize a no deal or hard Brexit will face a vote. Mr Darcy said, "The full terms of the deal have yet to be revealed, but there's briefing ministers have conceded that a motion, which could be amended, would be put before MPs, in event a final divorce deal is voted down. In other words, in the event of a divorce deal that the Commons refuse to accept, MPs would be able to set a new course for Brexit." Mrs May appears to have won today's Brexit battle, but has admitted she can only achieve a soft Brexit in the wake of today's concessions. Mr Darcy said, "One of the leading Tory rebels has told the BBC the government has bent not broken, but it leaves the fight for another day. But ministers now know that a narrow but decisive Commons majority can be assembled against them on critical Brexit issues, and that its next outing could well be on a more substantive vote on a customs union. Will that knowledge mean a softer Brexit strategy will now emerge?" MPs voted by 324 to 298 to reject the House of Lords amendment to the EU withdrawal bill, which would have given MPs the power to tell the Prime Minister to go back and renegotiate the Brexit deal. And while rebels backed down, the close escape proved a narrow majority of MPs could easily sway the PM going forward as the fine print of Brexit is negotiated and confirmed. The concession came after intensive negotiations on the floor of the House of Commons, with Chief Whip Julian Smith shuttling between Tory backbenchers during debate on Lords' amendments to the EU withdrawal bill. Eventually, around 15-20 pro-EU Tories were given assurances in a face-to-face discussion with the Prime Minister in her Commons office ahead of the vote. Mr Grieve said Mrs May had assured him Parliament would have a say, a move which has weakened the PM's hand ahead of the next round of Brexit talks with the EU. The rebel Tory said, I am quite satisfied that we are going to get a meaningful vote on both deal and no deal. I have no doubt about it after today. The Prime Minister is now expected to get through the latest round of crunch Brexit votes unscathed, with a potentially explosive clash over the customs union on Wednesday already diffused by a compromise amendment. But she faces a grueling bout of parliamentary ping-pong with the Lords, as the bill bounces back and forth between the two houses over the coming weeks.